We are back with Future Proof. We have the distinct honor of speaking to Jeremy Barber, who is a partner at United Talent Agency. And we're grateful to have you. Thank you for spending time with our students.
I'm happy to be here.
And speaking with him will be Connor Tomlin, who is an amazing filmmaker and an important part of the next generation of artists. And thank you for coming together for this generational conversation.
Researching you, you've worn many hats. Obviously, currently partnering at United Talent Agency, previously president of Catch 23, head of production at Artisan. It seems like your career has sort of been nonstop and constant change and evolution and innovation. And I'm wondering for you, how do you navigate the entertainment industry, which in of itself seems to be constantly changing and going through innovation?
That's a great question. Thank you. I was lucky enough to be at Sundance last week with a movie called Half Nelson with my client, Anthony Mackie. And I was talking to Eugene Hernandez, who currently oversees the Sundance Film Festival. And he was wondering, generationally, what would happen as the festival is handed over and inherited by you lot. And what I said to him is, we didn't inherit, we invented. And I think, change is always the state of the world. The world is always falling apart and coming together. Creativity is how we try to navigate and make sense and build community. So I would say to you, you just have to pull back, follow your instincts, believe in what you believe in. You can't be told what's possible or not possible. And so I think the framing of the question isn't 100% correct, because I never think about it as what are the conditions of the business. I think about is what is the story, who is the storyteller, and how can I help them realize their dream of bringing their idea, their product, the story they want to tell, to the largest possible audience. So, I do a lot of conversations with young people, and they're like, how do I build a network? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what you're asking me, right? How do I make a plan? I don't know. I've never had a plan. I wouldn't know a plan if it hit me in the face. So I think you got to believe in things. You got to tell the stories that you are uniquely situated to tell. You have to work within the constraints and limitations and use them as opportunities to invent and problem solve. And, I think it's that simple. So is the business changing? Sure. Is storytelling always been the same? Sure. Do storytellers have a unique role in the world? 100%.
That really resonates with me, because I feel like, especially the part about not necessarily having a plan or a roadmap, and it just being more of an instinctual and visceral just feeling and belief, because oftentimes people ask me when I tell them that I want to be a filmmaker, they'll ask, okay, well, what's the plan? Or what's your plan B? How do you get to where you want to go? And I sometimes have to tell them, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that it's like the only thing I've ever known how to want to do.
How great is that, right? To have that fire. I had a client say to me who's very, very famous, and who I started working with when they were very, very not famous. And she said, you believed in me when I was no one. And I was like, you were never no one. And to walk alongside with you, you knew exactly who you were and going to be, right? But you have to, it's not a place where cynicism, where gaming it out, where pragmatism are roadmaps. Your roadmap is your own unique voice and your own specific story and the way you want to bring that to the world.
Thank you so much, first of all, for that answer. And sort of to follow up with that, I feel like this time in the industry, there is such a saturation of so much content, and so much of it is so amazing, but there's just such an overwhelming amount of things being made and being showed to people. How do you, when you're looking for new talents represent or new people to help build up in the industry. Are there any specific things that sort of are consistent in people that stand out to you and sort of let you know this is somebody that I feel has a story worth telling or has a voice?
Again, I'll answer what I think is implicit in your question. I've done a lot of pitch panels in my life, and we always agree what the best pitch is because it's the pitch that's most authentic to the person pitching it and thus resonates, and again, I think within specificity is universality. When we try to make things for everyone, we make them for no one. Your very personal story is a story that people will connect to. And I don't believe we're at a point of saturation. I think we're at a point of distraction. I think quality and premium content always finds a way to an audience. And I don't agree with sort of the idea that there's so much, how do we figure it out? I think there's actually so little, right? And anything good or a little bit better than expected creates disproportionate impact. So I think the question is, how do you make something good? And it's really hard to make something good. And I'm interested in people who want to make good shit.
That makes sense to me. So to do a bit of a segue, outside of the hats that you've worn that I mentioned earlier, you also have a background as an attorney and sort of counseling for civic work and stuff. And I'm curious if there were any lessons that you learned when working in those areas that you've been able to apply to yourself, either personally in your life or to your work in the entertainment industry.
Right. Again, I'm going to answer my version of the question you asked, and I'll answer it two ways. One, I always say your relationship to fear is your primary relationship in your life, and one of the primary determinants of the type of career you have, because your lizard brain and fear is a real thing, right? If you leave the cave, the saber-toothed tiger is going to eat you, so you can't deny it, but you have to come to some kind of alliance with it. And my secret power in my career is a capacity to fail spectacularly and fail publicly and just wipe out and pick myself up and move forward. And I think if you don't have the resourcefulness and the resilience and the capacity to really just run into a wall, then you can't really be successful. So, I talk to young people all the time about having the ability to really fail and to get out on a ledge and not be scared of falling off it. I had two jobs in my life that have prepared me for this. I was a waiter and a bartender growing up in New York City. There's no more important thing one can do than be in the service industry and see how to interact with people and participate in their experience and to be able to shape shift and do it at different places with different people. And I was a fucking great waiter. And I always made more money than everybody because I understood that each table and each experience was a unique interaction that I had an essential role to play. The other job I had that was incredibly valuable was I worked on a presidential campaign. And I would get up at 2 a.m. and it was before we could take pictures with our phones and go pick up the Washington Post and cut it out and put it on paper and fax it to Boston. And then I'd go out and get donuts, and then I'd go drive around and pick people up. And then I'd write a speech that the candidate was going to give. And then I would sit and, run an issues department meeting. And I learned that you had to be able to do every job. There was no job too big or too small. And to this day, as a good agent or a great agent, I'm organizing airplane tickets. I'm organizing where someone sits. I'm organizing. My joke is I get sandwiches for famous people. But if you're not involved at a granular level, and if you think that there are jobs that you are bigger than or greater than, you can't possibly be successful. And ultimately, my job is to serve others. And, so I learned through literal service. I also think I do a lot of do-good and nonprofit and board work. And I think we are in service of other people. And I think storytellers play a unique role in creating community. There's a very famous political philosopher named Hannah Arendt, who was part of the wave of Europeans who came after World War II to America. And she says the necessary precondition to the rise of fascism is the breakdown of community. And in an intact community, people are like, he's crazy. Nope, and I think part of what you were asking in terms of the volume of content and TikTok and YouTube is our phones have isolated us. And storytelling is supposed to bring us together. And the way we experience content in the world now is with our face down and on a little screen. And I think that's isolated us. And I think we have to find ways to build community through storytelling and empathy.
Yeah, that speaks to me, the communal aspect that you touched on at the end, because I feel that a lot of times when you're discussing, or when I'm discussing my dreams and aspirations of wanting to get into the industry and be a filmmaker, people sort of view it at the surface level, cliche standpoint of, oh, you want to be big in Hollywood, you want to, drive the fancy cars and like just go into the Oscars. And I'm like, well, no, I want to work with great people and tell stories that I want to tell and hopefully touch other people.
So then don't want to be in the industry, right?
Right.
You don't want to be industrialized. So that, of course, leads people to make an assumption that you're an industrialist, you're a storyteller and a filmmaker. I had a very interesting experience, though, that speaks to what you're saying. Very early in my career, again, a very well-known filmmaker showed me his movie. I was on the West Side Highway, and it was a black and white movie. And I watched it, I'm like, wow, that's dope. And he walked in and said, can you commodify me? I was like, wait, this guy who made this black and white movie wants me to commodify him? I'm like, I don't even know what you just asked me. And I said, but yeah, if that's what you want, I can do that. But what I have grown to learn through time is there is a moment between creativity and the consumption or commodification of creativity where a transaction lives. And how do you take the thing and bring it into the world? So there is an element of commodification or transacting with creativity, which brings it to an audience. That's not your job. That's my job. Your job is to make the shit. And that's your only job. And I, again, do a lot of work with young people. And there's a McKinsey study that says, or there's a peak content. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, are you crazy? It's like, go write something, go shoot something, go make something. Let's sit with you and talk about McKinsey studies about media saturation. No chance. No artist I represent has ever asked me about a McKinsey study or the industry. But what they do is they make things every day. They draw, they write, they paint, they photograph, they shoot. The thing that every artist I work with who's successful has in common is they do it every day because it's their job and they're compelled to do it. And if you do that, the other stuff will take care of itself.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. You talked at the end of that answer about working with a lot of young people. And I'm curious if there are any insights or traits or skills that you see or feel the next generation of storytellers might be able to bring to the art of film that maybe previous generations weren't able to.
I'm going to say two things. One, I think by and large, you guys suck because you're so insular and so insulated and so stuck and don't know how to move and don't know how to do anything. And I'm sad for you guys because what a waste. On the other hand, you have an incredible fluency with technology and research and all these tools. And you have so many more ways to make things than any other generation did. And you have so much more direct reach to people. And yet, by and large, you guys suck because you're trying to make a plan and you're scared of getting it wrong and you're busy on TikTok or YouTube or spewing. I mean, I just got pushed out my door and like someone's like, go figure it out. There was nobody guiding me. It's like, I think about my sisters, like, we were thrown out of the house at 7 a.m. We came back in at 7 p.m. My dad's like, there's the sunfish. Like, I don't know how to swim. He's like, okay, but figure it out. I'm like, if I drowned, no one would have known. And you guys are scared and you're paralyzed. And I feel bad. I think it's such a failure of our generation to imbue you guys with the courage and the skills to be successful. Just you have to have grit and resourcefulness and purpose. I think you guys are paralyzed. I don't think it's your fault. And I think you have the capacity to innovate and subvert and really mix media in a way that can be so cool. And so few of you are doing it. And, I hope you figure it out.
Yeah. I also
You ask the real question, you get the real answer.
And I always get the same response. Everyone's so relieved to hear, because people don't tell you the truth. I was in a class at UCLA. It's like, I think my students are amazing. I'm like, I think your students bum me the fuck out. And they're like, thank God. I'm like, what are you doing? Everyone's so busy trying to figure it out. No one's doing anything. It's like, go out, go on dates, get broken up with, get in fights, get wasted. I don't care. Do anything. And I'm sorry again, because of phones and COVID and everything, people don't know how to do anything. And it's crazy, because we're here for a second.
I actually feel very fortunate. I'm sort of just automatically doing a sort of inner reflection based off that answer, because I was very lucky to grow up in a neighborhood with all of my best friends on my same street, and that was sort of where my love and desire to make films came from. I got my first camera, and we would be outside in the woods, and I just hold it up and start filming it, and then I eventually got a shitty laptop and started putting it together, and since then it's sort of just been one grenade to the other. I sort of never, I guess, lost that itch. So that speaks to me what you were saying, because I know not everybody that's my age was fortunate enough to have the childhood and upbringing like that. And so, yeah, thank you for touching on that. That's amazing. For you in the agency world, are there any thought processes or traits of that business that once earlier in your career felt more, permanent and foolproof and reliable, that as
You don't even know as you're saying it that this question makes no sense, right? I was in a meeting the other day with a bunch of experts, and they kept telling me why I couldn't do something. And I finally told them to get the fuck out of my office if they were bumming me out. Because I don't want to be told what I can't do. Not interested in it. And if you're an expert and your expertise is going to limit my imagination or creativity or my ability to execute. So what I will say is one of the challenges of getting older is things. So I bought the Blair Witch Project. I created the marketing campaign for the Blair Witch Project. That genre brought back verite horror. I hate horror, but my staff, when they saw the movie, freaked out. Once I knew how hard it was to do something, I stopped doing it. So one of the challenges as you get older is too much. So the same thing, for a while I didn't work with younger artists. I'm working with younger artists again, because it turns out I know a lot and it's a complicated time and they need real guidance. And also I think there are ways to subvert some of the traditional ways of filmmaking that are going to help make it hip and cool again. But when you know something is hard, it's harder to do it. And when you don't know something is hard, you just do it and figure it out. So I think one of the challenges when you get older is to stay open to what you don't know, and also to get rid of what you do know. Don't worry about your notes. Have a conversation. Put your notes down. Put your notes down and have a conversation.
If you had the opportunity to go back in time and speak to your younger self and give him an insight into the future that lies ahead for his career and maybe some of the hurdles that he'll have to jump over,
I love that question. Again, what I would say to you, and I'm the parent of 3 children, one, holding a pure mirror up. So being honest with a young person about who they are and who they're not, and that's okay. What I would want to have known is that it was going to be okay, which I really didn't know. And that not to worry so much, and probably to give myself a break. I did a later life master's at Harvard Divinity School, and Maggie Rogers went to. It's a peace building program again, and it's around transformational storytelling was my project. But my friends and peers there who liked me because I was funny and a good student and not because I was a partner at the United Talent Agency, you said when I gave myself the grace and dignity that I gave the world, I'd start cooking with gasoline. And I think, you know, those of us who are called and pushed and successful are often so hard on ourselves. And I think I wish I would have taken the bit out of my mouth a little bit and put the crop down and given myself a little more air to breathe and room and space to enjoy. And I love life and I have a great life, but you know, I was on the move and I didn't give myself a lot of room or forgiveness. And I think we all deserve grace, and we got to figure out how to love ourselves and take care of ourselves if we're going to take care of other people.
That couldn't resonate with me more because I feel the same way, especially at this point in my life. I'm still in school and I already feel what they call, I guess, imposter syndrome, and I am so hard on myself.
And it fucks you up and it doesn't help you, and me too. And I held myself to such a high standard and I couldn't tolerate any time I fell short, and then it became judgment because I held myself to such a high standard. I felt it gave me the righteous ability to hold other people to that standard. And the day, you gotta give yourself a break, and I gotta trust and believe. People talk about letting go, which makes no sense, right? There's an amazing, there's a raccoon trap, which I always love as a metaphor. There's a knot in a hollow log, and there's a shiny object in it. It's true. The raccoon goes in and grabs the shiny object. The smart raccoons gnaw off their hand and bleed out. All the other raccoons die with their hand in that hollow log because none of them will ever let go of that shiny coin. And I think a lot of us live our lives that way. And you just let go of that shiny thing. You just take your hand back out and go on with your day. So I think we have to learn to let go, and this idea of control is not real. We're not in control of anything. We're lucky if we're in control of ourselves. And that's very liberating. And the state of creativity, everyone is an imposter. Everyone feels like an imposter. Steven Spielberg feels like an imposter. I'm sorry, Steven, right? There's nobody who ever doesn't, because being an artist means at some level being in touch with some existential sense of the impermanence of it all, right? So you have to lean into that, right?
I'd love to know for you, and maybe you could give advice to people like me and other young creatives. Were there any specific steps that you had to take or internal dialogues you had to have with yourself, or maybe were there big points in your career that were informative for you that helped you sort of get out of that rut and escape that?
I'm very process oriented, so I don't believe in beginnings and ends. I only believe in process. So I think your job is to every day be where you are and try to move forward. And I think if you look at creativity in life as a continuum, same thing. You win an Oscar, you have a movie bomb, you celebrate the wins, you ride through the losses. It's a magical mystery tour. But I think if you focus, I would say good process, good result. If you can focus on the process, and again, my biggest and best clients do their job every day. So, I get out of bed every day. I'm like, wow, I'm here. That's fucking amazing. I'm like, oh my God, I got to do that, or this one sucks, or, And no matter how I feel or what I'm up against, I always put one foot in front of the other and believe that the only way to get somewhere is to get out of bed and get out of your house. I had a really great early mentor who said, Fortuna never came and knocked on the door of someone lying in bed watching a Gilligan's Island rerun, which you'll understand. But it's like, if you're watching TV or watching YouTube or on TikTok in your house, kicking it, I can promise you nothing is going to happen. If you can get out of your house, watch TikTok out of your house. Go to a Starbucks and watch TikTok or wherever you want to go. But you have to every day get out of bed, leave your house, do the thing you do, put one foot in front of the other, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I feel right now, for me, that's probably my biggest hurdle right now.
Then stop it.
Yeah.
Then stop it. I said to my sister the other day, you know how you end generational trauma? By ending it. Facts.
Are there any tips or insights that you can give emerging filmmakers or creative people that can help them better understand the business side?
Don't have that question. You're not a businessman. I'm a businessman. I'm not an artist. I chose not to be an artist for a host of reasons. I can help you with your art, can believe in you. I can give you feedback that's honest, can help you understand what the limitations are in terms of what you're wanting to make. Every minute you think about business is another minute you're wasting your time.
So just keep making, keep creating.
It's like, yeah, that's why you guys suck. It's like, so, well, I got business. Then go to business school. You want to figure out business, go to business school. I went to law school because I had a creative brain. I couldn't figure my way out of anything that wasn't impressionistic. I throw myself into my weaknesses. I was shy, I acted. I couldn't analyze, I went to business school, right? So my law degree grafted an analytic processor on my brain. I have a foot in creativity, a foot in business. It's all a stall. I promise you the guys and gals I represent who do it aren't thinking about business. They're thinking about how the story fits, the scene they wrote, an image they captured. It goes there. So the business, what?
First of all, thank you for the honesty you're bringing to this, because I feel like this is exactly what I need to be here. So I'm grateful for all the knowledge you're giving.
And I'm very grateful for your questions and the integrity with which you're bringing them up. And I'm also, you're holding like that raccoon, the shiny object, the idea of this is an industry, a business. What do I do? What do I mean? Dude, it's like find your north, write, draw, make shit, make more shit, and make some more shit. Like I was with a Filipino trans princess who's like, I'm gonna write a horror movie for Blumhouse. I'm like, you're smoking crack. So I write a movie about being a Filipino trans princess, because that's amazing. So, well, the industry is buying horror movies. And I'm like, what? So I can't tell you what to write. You told me what your story is. You grew up in a Stephen King world. You're E.T. All you didn't have is an alien and a bicycle with a divorced mom. It's like, write about that. Write Stand By Me. What's the modern Stand By Me? Write about a world where kids are on their phones and isolated and you had friends. That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess.
Stop thinking. Stop thinking. Follow your intuition. Your thinking is going to kill you. Just stop it.
Any thoughts, Mark?
Well, I had a question. I want to know what one of your favorite fails was and why.
Oh my God. But I have no favorite fails.
Really?
Because failing sucks. It's a disaster, a catastrophe, and it hurts, right? And it's a bummer. And I've had big public firings and had companies I built from scratch taken away from me and then fired for cause. I've had giant clients win giant awards or make giant movies and been fired in the midst of it. But so what? Got other clients to represent, other jobs, big firings. You know, every time you get fired, it's terrible, but it's also a gift. It's an interruption, a moment to take stock, a moment to meet people, to own it, make people laugh, tell the story of it, push through it. And there's always something amazing on the other side.
Love it. Perseverance and passion.
And grit and resourcefulness and fearlessness and reality, and such terrible shit's gonna happen and such wonderful shit's gonna happen and all that shit's gonna happen, and it's all amazing. Life is amazing. Humans are amazing.
It sounds like human connection and just the experience of being human as a whole is
There you go.
important to you.
It's important to everyone.
Is that sort of the aspect in your personal taste for stories that you connect with and resonate with you? Is that just sort of the baseline for what makes
It's
it
just right truth. One authenticity. One the storyteller telling the story to understand the story they're telling.
Wow, that's an amazing. I hadn't heard that one before. The storyteller to understand the story they're telling, which I guess should be a given, but maybe isn't always.
Not with all these business plans and industry and throwing darts at the wall.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. All right. Thanks for letting me hang out with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for hanging out.